What up, sports fans and fellow foodies? I'm Julie, and welcome to my kitchen, where each week I talk sports while whipping up culinary creations. This week, I'm hanging with my peeps, and that's because it's Easter Sunday. Happy Easter, happy Passover, very special time of year for so many religions in the world, and for Catholics and Christians, it's about Jesus rising from the dead. And there was some news on the South Side this weekend about something that's going to rise in August. All right, it's not blasphemy. I am a practicing Catholic, so it's a little bit of a tweak here, but Ozzie Guillen, you are my man. You found out on camera live on Friday that the White Sox will be retiring number 13. It's going to rise to the rafters between Aparicio and Canerco. The 13th number to be retired by the White Sox happens to be number 13 for a guy who played 13 years at shortstop on the South Side. And Ozzie Guillen, especially associated with bringing a World Series to the White Sox in my lifetime. I covered Ozzie as a player, I covered him as a manager, and anytime I've run into him since, he's always full of warmth and love as he greets every Sox fan who comes up to him. And he acts like everybody's his bestie. And we just love that about you, Ozzie. On camera, we love watching you doing pre and post game with Chuck Garfien. We love when you're at Sox events, Sox charity events. I've seen Ozzie coaching the White Sox team in charity softball games in the summer. And again, he's always just Ozzie. So I'm paying tribute to Ozzie. They're gonna raise his number this August 8th. And tonight I'm making a Venezuelan pastry because that's where Ozzie's from. He hails from Venezuela. And I'm gonna be making something called Golfeados. It is a traditional Venezuelan pastry that's similar to a cinnamon roll, but it's got cheese on top. So it's got that sweet and that savory. And I'm gonna show you how to make it right here, right now. All right, I am starting with some pre-made pizza dough. This isn't the kind you get like in a tube. This is actual like dough that I got at Mariano's. You can get a 1 pound ball there for $3. But you want something that's got that nice elasticity. That's our gluten in there. Gluten is the mussels in the bread. And in this case, we're gonna have to give those mussels a little bit of a chance to rise while we're prepping. All right, so what I'm gonna recommend to you, you don't wanna overwork it, but you're gonna be pulling this out. So you're gonna get a nice little stretch. Go on, stretch. And I'm going to kind of work it into a rectangle here on my board. We're using a liberal amount of flour because you don't want it to be too sticky. And you can see on my hands here, it is a little bit sticky. So we'll just dust that off a little bit. And you're going for a rectangle. Ideally, that's gonna be roughly 10 inches by 14 inches. It can be a little bit smaller. Not a big deal. You just wanna make sure it's about the same consistency in thickness throughout. You're going for about 1/4 or 1/2 inch. Now, you can take a rolling pin and you can kind of work it a little bit more. It's tearing on me a little bit here. We're gonna patch that up just a smidge. So you can take a rolling pin. Just remember, if you're using a rolling pin, you want that floured as well because you don't want it sticking to your dough. So you can kind of help manipulate your rectangle by using the rolling pin. If you notice that your dough is just not stretching as far as you would like it to, you can let it rest for a little bit. And we're gonna be doing that in a bit after we make our cinnamon rolls. So I'm gonna stretch it just a little so you can get the idea. Or maybe a little bit smaller than you need to be. We're gonna get grooving on this because you don't wanna see me sitting here stretching pizza dough all night. So, still got that one spot with the hole in it. Okay, we got this. All right, what you're gonna be smearing on here is about 2 to 3 tablespoons of softened butter, not melted, softened. And you can use an offset spatula if you want to pull that across. I am just gonna go ahead and use my fingers because they're already sticky and gooey. So we're just gonna smear this all over and get it pretty much up to the edges. And what we're gonna fill this with is something that is a traditional Venezuelan brown sugar, and that is called piloncillo. And piloncillo you can find in Spanish markets. That's where I found it. I did try the international foods aisle at a couple grocery stores. It wasn't easy to find, so I'm just gonna go ahead and show you the one I did pick up at a little Mexican market today. So, now that I've got my butter smeared on there, this is how your piloncillo comes. It comes in a big round disc that's kind of like a brick. What you're going to do with it is you're going to grate it. I'm using just a box grater here. And you're just going to scrape it like that. I am not going to do that for long because that's really annoyingly loud on camera. But you'll see you get kind of a fine, powdery, almost brown sugar-like. But with this, it's got a deeper, richer flavor. It's got a little bit more of a molasses feel to it. That's because it's unrefined cane sugar. So that's a big thing in Venezuelan pastries and desserts. I've got a half a cup of it to go with my 1 pound of pizza dough and my 2 to 3 tablespoons of butter. And you're just gonna sprinkle this all over because that's gonna give us that caramely goodness when it bakes. All right, so once you've spread that out, kind of a nice even layer, I'm gonna add a little bit of cinnamon because, I mean, who doesn't love cinnamon in their rolls? You can also add a touch of anise if you want that little bit of licorice taste. Not a big fan of anise, so I'm just gonna do a little sprinkle of cinnamon here, and it smells so good. All right, we're gonna roll it. You can roll this way or this way. Just depends if you want a longer log or you want a squattier one. The squattier one's gonna have thicker cinnamon rolls. The longer way, you're gonna have less rolls to it, less spirals. I'm gonna go that way because we can probably get a few more out of it when we go that way. When you're rolling, you wanna keep it tight. You start peeling it over like that, and as you're doing that, you're putting your fingers into the seam there to keep it a nice tight roll. You don't wanna be pushing all that filling out, so you're kind of lifting it as you roll. And we're about halfway through here, and it's coming together nicely. And just a little bit of pat here and there to keep it taut. Still got that little hole that wants to poke through on me, but it's gonna get rolled up on the inside. Nobody will know. All right, so we're a little uneven, that's okay. When you get to the end, you're gonna pinch it, and you've got seam side down. All right, so what we've got with that, we are ready to start cutting this into our slices for our rolls. I'm gonna use a glass dish pie pan that I've sprayed with some cooking spray. And I'm also gonna use a little bit of the syrup that I'm gonna show you how to make a little later. Pour a little bit in the bottom of our pan so that you get some of that caramely goodness on the bottom. That's gonna make these pull apart, gooey, delicious. I'm just gonna swirl that around. When you are cutting your slices, I'm just gonna take off these uneven edges here. You want a very sharp knife. You wanna go about 1 inch to 1.5 inches. So you're gonna get little spirals that look like that. You're gonna place these in here with a little bit of room in between because again, these are going to rise. See the theme here? Rolls are gonna be risen and ready to bake in about half an hour. So I'm just gonna keep plunking these down in here. You don't want them too tightly together because they are going to expand. And if you prefer to use the floss or thread method, you can use that where you crisscross it and that'll cut it and give you a nice clean cut as well. We're just going no nonsense here. We're just gonna use a really good sharp knife, gentle sawing motion, and put a few in the middle here. You see, you got your nice swirls. And those ends, you can squish them in there if you want, but we got enough going on in here. So these are ready to rest and rise. That's what we got going on. We're gonna come back and check on these in just a little bit. And we're back. Let's take a look at how these were rising while we gave them some time. I gave them 25 minutes. You wanna keep them somewhere warm. I put mine right on top of the oven so that the heat from the stove is giving a little bit of heat to here to help them to rise. So I had these back here And that's how they're looking. And then they're gonna go in the oven, 350 degrees rather, for 25 minutes. Wait till you see how they come out. All right, we've got, I use these. I think it's like a pizza handle. I use these to take stuff out of the oven all the time, including cake pans. I'm gonna use these to get our Golfeados out of here, our beautiful Venezuelan rolls. My tribute to Ozzie Guillen. So we've got these out. Now what makes these extra special, I said you've got the sweet and the savory. So what I did on my stovetop, and I've had this just kind of simmering up here for a little bit, I've got a syrup that uses the brown sugar, the Mexican brown sugar we were talking about. And again, it's called piloncillo or panela. You find it in Mexican grocery stores. It comes in a round block. And that's what I'm using here to make the filling and the syrup for this. You can use brown sugar. It's okay to substitute. You're gonna do 1/3 of a cup of water to 1/2 of a cup of your brown sugar or your piloncillo. So, here's where it gets good, sports fans. We're gonna take this, we're gonna pour it all over these pretty little rolls that just came out. And the longer you keep your syrup simmering, the thicker it's gonna get. I'm being real careful here. A little bit of dribbles, but oh my gosh, it's bubbling. It smells so good. All right, and here's where we get the special Venezuelan zing. Put that back over here. I'm going to take some queso fresco here. This one we used a couple weeks ago when we were doing some nachos. And it is just a brick of soft Mexican cheese that you can crumble just like this. And this is where these get interesting. We're gonna go ahead and sprinkle a little bit over the top here and let it kind of get a little mushy as it absorbs some of the heat from the rolls and from the syrup. So that's sweet and savory. That's what we're gonna be going for to make these special. But you can see how much rise they had in the oven and how much rise we also had in the dough as it was sitting and resting. So I'm trying to cut into these. Let's take a look here, see what we got going on. Just make sure I don't grab the pan. Oh, they are sticky, they are gooey, they are caramely. And we're gonna pull one of these out. Oh, wait till you see the bottom of these. That caramelized bottom. That's where it's at. Look at that. Look at that sticky roll there. It's probably gonna be way too hot to take a bite of right now, but has that ever stopped me? Not really. All right, we're gonna take a little piece here. Move my cheese over. Oh my goodness, this is just a gooey, sticky, delicious looking mess. Ozzie, I hope you are proud of my tribute to your Venezuelan heritage. I'm proud to call you one of my guys on the south side. Sox fans love you, Ozzie. We're going to be turning up in droves to see your jersey retired on August 8th. My goodness, check this out. I wish you could smell it, and I wish you could taste it. But if you ever have questions, leave them for me in the comments. I am more than happy to answer if you have recipe questions, ingredient questions, or you just want to talk sports with me. I'm happy to do that as well. All right, let's see if I can try this yet. I took a little bitty bite because I didn't want to burn my mouth up. This is pretty phenomenal. I'm gonna make sure I get a little bit of that cheese. Oh, it's getting nice and gooey in here. Our baseball teams, both 4 and 5 right now. Cubs have had a little bit of a rough weekend in Cleveland. The White Sox swept the Blue Jays at home. Hasn't happened in decades. Crazy. So we'll be keeping an eye on the baseball. I'm sorry, Illini fans, that you are out and not in the championship game Monday night. We'll be watching Michigan and UConn Monday night and all sorts of stuff to continue talking about. I'm gonna go for it. If it's hot, if it burns my tongue, so be it. I won't tell you guys. Oh my gosh. Okay. That saltiness from the cheese. You guys gotta try this. Ozzie, I love you. Happy Easter to everybody. Happy Passover. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you here next week.